What's up, football fans? If you're settling in to watch the NFL on Thanksgiving this year, you might notice something feels different. And no, I'm not talking about your uncle's questionable takes at the dinner table. For the first time in over 4 decades, the traditional Thanksgiving Day kickoff time is changing. That's right. A tradition that's been around since the early 80s is getting a shakeup, and today we're breaking down everything you need to know about this historic shift in the NFL's Thanksgiving schedule. Hit that like button if you're ready for some Turkey Day football, and let's dive in. All right, so here's the deal. If you've been watching football on Thanksgiving for years, you're probably used to turning on the TV right around 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time to catch the Detroit Lions hosting the early game. It's basically muscle memory at this point, right? Well, this year, you've got an extra 30 minutes to enjoy that pumpkin pie before kickoff. The Lions-Packers game is pushing back to 1 p.m. Eastern, and this isn't just some random scheduling hiccup. This is the first time since 1982 that the early game won't be starting at 12:30. Let me put that in perspective for you. 1982. That was 43 years ago. Ronald Reagan was president. E.T. was in theaters. Michael Jackson's Thriller had just dropped. That's how long this tradition has been in place. Back in '82, the NFL was dealing with a strike-shortened season where teams only played 9 games total. The Lions hosted the Giants that year, and the game kicked off at noon Eastern. Then, starting in 1983, the league moved it to that 12:30 slot, and it stayed there for 42 straight years, until now. So why mess with tradition? Why change something that's been working for over 4 decades? Well, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell actually addressed this before the schedule even came out, and his explanation is pretty straightforward. He said, quote, "We're probably going to move from a 12:30 p.m. ET start to 1. We'll go back to the traditional windows." Now, at first, that might sound a little confusing, right? Traditional windows? Wasn't 12:30 the tradition? Here's what Goodell means. On regular Sundays during the NFL season, the early afternoon games kick off at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's the standard window that fans are used to throughout the season. So by moving Thanksgiving to 1 p.m., the NFL is aligning it with those Sunday time slots that everyone's familiar with. It's all about consistency. The league wants Thanksgiving to flow the same way a typical Sunday does in terms of kickoff times. And honestly, there's another group of people who are probably pretty happy about this change. Let's talk about our friends on the West Coast for a second. If you're watching from the Pacific time zone, this change is a game changer. Literally. Instead of having to roll out of bed at 9:30 in the morning to catch the early game, now it's kicking off at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's a full 30 minutes of extra sleep, extra coffee, or extra time to prep that Thanksgiving feast. I mean, let's be real, 9:30 a.m. is rough for a football game, especially on a holiday when you're probably up late the night before or traveling. That extra half hour might not seem like much, but trust me, West Coast fans are feeling blessed right now. And look, the NFL knows that viewership matters across all time zones. Making the game more accessible to West Coast viewers could actually boost those already massive ratings we see on Thanksgiving. Now let's talk about what the full Thanksgiving slate looks like this year, because we're getting 3 incredible games. The day kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern with the Detroit Lions hosting the Green Bay Packers on Fox. Lions. Packers is always a fierce NFC North rivalry, and with both teams fighting for playoff positioning, this one's going to be intense. Then at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, we've got America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, hosting the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, on CBS. Patrick Mahomes versus the Cowboys in primetime? That's appointment television right there. And finally, wrapping up the night at 8:20 p.m. Eastern, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Burrow is back in action, and this AFC North showdown could have major playoff implications. This triple-header format has actually only been around since 2006. Before that, it was just the Lions and Cowboys playing their traditional games. The NFL added that primetime slot 19 years ago, and it's been a massive hit ever since. Speaking of tradition, let's give some love to the teams that make Thanksgiving football what it is: the Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys. The Lions have been playing on Thanksgiving since 1934. Yes, you heard that right, 1934. That's 90 years of Lions football on Turkey Day. It's one of the oldest traditions in all of professional sports. The Cowboys joined the party in 1966, and since then, that Lions-Cowboys doubleheader has been as much a part of Thanksgiving as turkey and stuffing. For 40 years, it was just those 2 games. Then in 2006, boom, the NFL added that third game, and now we get football from noon until nearly midnight. What's wild is how protective the NFL is of these traditions. They don't mess with Thanksgiving lightly. It took 40 years to add a third game. It took another 19 years to change the kickoff time. This is sacred territory for the league, and they know it. And here's why the NFL guards Thanksgiving so carefully. The ratings are absolutely bonkers. Thanksgiving games consistently rank as the highest-rated regular season games of the entire year. Everyone's home, everyone's gathered with family. And what do Americans do when they're together? They watch football. The most watched regular season game in NFL history happened on Thanksgiving in 2022. Over 42 million people tuned in to watch the Cowboys beat the Giants 28-20. 42 million. That's more than the population of California. And last year's early game, the Lions beating the Bears pulled in 37.5 million viewers. That's insane for a regular season game. Here's the thing. With this year's matchups, both of those records could fall. Cowboys versus Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes? Lions versus Packers with an extra half hour of accessibility? We could be looking at historic viewership numbers. So what does this scheduling change mean for the future of NFL Thanksgiving games? First off, it shows the NFL is willing to evolve even its most sacred traditions when it makes sense. This isn't change for the sake of change. It's about creating consistency and improving the viewer experience. Second, it could open the door for other adjustments down the line. Maybe we'll see different matchup formats, maybe international games on Thanksgiving someday. Who knows? But what we do know is that Thanksgiving football isn't going anywhere. The Lions and Cowboys will keep hosting, the ratings will keep soaring, and families across America will keep gathering around the TV to watch. The game might start 30 minutes later, but the tradition? That's forever. All right, football fans, that's the breakdown on this year's historic Thanksgiving schedule change. An extra 30 minutes might not seem like much, but when you're messing with a 42-year tradition, it's a pretty big deal. What do you think about the new kickoff time? Are you happy about the change, or do you wish they'd kept it at 12:30? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more NFL content. I'll be covering all 3 Thanksgiving games, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the action. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Enjoy your turkey, enjoy your football, and let's get ready for an incredible day of NFL action.